My name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Infinity Pool, starring Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, and written and directed by Michael Cronenberg. Anyway, this film takes place on a fictional island resort where David Foster, played by Alexander Skarsgård, is vacationing with his wife Em, played by Cleopatra Coleman. Anyway, David Foster, he is there in a desperate bid to attempt to find some inspiration for his long gestating novel, of which he has seemingly not written a single word for. And his attempts to find inspiration are not going well, to say the least. He doesn't seem very interested in the resort's cultural education about their uh, myths, and he doesn't seem very interested in the Chinese restaurant on the island, which, as he says, is not very authentically Chinese. If you understand what he means. Anyway, his viewpoint on the island changes when he meets Gabby, played by Mia Goth, a flirtatious vacationer who's a fan of David's singular novel that he wrote 6 years ago. Anyway, looking for an escape from the, at least in his eyes, very boring resort, he decides to take his wife along with him for a day trip. And, well, things don't go too well. On the way back, he ends up, I Know What You Did Last Summer, ing a poor guy to death. And what happens from there is a descent into a hedonistic hellscape, if you will, and with Gabby as his guide. So, anyway, there is a, let's just say there is a plot revelation that I won't spoil here, but simply put, it is very shocking and it lends itself to a very deep screenplay that will have you thinking about identity and just what, simply put, what if you could get away with anything, or at the very least, what if you could get away with things and only have to pay a nominal cost, however you define it. And how would it affect you? Would it affect you? Uh, and Alexander Skarsgård does a great job of displaying just, well, what the answers are for him with regards, like, he does a great job of taking the audience with him as he transforms from a timid writer with an inferiority complex to a man who is willing to beat you to a bloody pulp to survive. That, like, just overall, and the cinematography lends itself to showing this as well. It's just, it's really good. It uses a lot of shallow focus to show how he's sort of self-absorbed and not doesn't care much about anything else, and it uses just a lot of trippy visuals to get the audience in its headspace. It's all great stuff. Mia Goth, too, she's also great as a seductive vacationer with clearly a very dark edge to her. Like, it's not quite Pearl dark edge, but it's still pretty sociopathically dark as all hell. And she does a great job there, and her fellow sort of friend group that she invites Alexander Skarsgård's character into is similarly demented as all hell, and they get him into some very messed up stuff. I'll just leave it at that. Overall, the writing itself is great. It caught me off guard on quite a few occasions. Like, there was one revelation where I was like, I knew it, but it seemed well set up. But other instances, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. For better or worse, the screenplay can succumb to excessiveness, even by excessive standards. Like, there's one sex scene in particular where I thought, okay, all right, you have established what I think you're trying to establish here. I think you can end the scene now. And while I get that may be the point, it still doesn't make the scene feel even too excessively excessive, if that makes any sense. And speaking of the sex and the violence, all I have to say is this. If this is what constitutes an R rating, then what was the NC-17 cut like? Because sweet Jesus, this film is so violent and so gory and filled with so much hedonistic sex and orgies. I felt genuinely ill at times. The cinematography with which it captures these moments, you will truly understand what infinity feels like in a good and bad way. With all that in mind, if you are willing to tolerate the film's excessive indulgences, I think Infinity Pool will be worth at least one watch thanks to magnetic performances and trippy visuals. So, with all that in mind, I will be giving Infinity Pool 4 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, did you like Infinity Pool? Why or why not?